What's up? Welcome back to another stretching video. Today we are focusing primarily on our middle splits or our center splits. Kevin worked us pretty hard yesterday on our front splits, right and left, so I figured we'd spend a little more time today working inner thighs, outer glutes, stretching all those muscles surrounding the hips. Hips are pretty complicated, and we want those to be very open to get really any position of your split. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna do this in a little bit of a mirroring way today. So as you're looking at me, it's like you're looking at yourself in a mirror. So I have my left foot front, but you put your right foot front and mirror me from there. So right foot just placed in front of the other, not crossed, not stacked. And you're gonna take your right hand and push it into your right knee and then lean away from that leg. You have to do kind of a push-pull here. So you're pressing your knee down and leaning away from it like you want nothing to do with that right knee. You're gonna start to feel a really, really nice stretch and pull kind of in this top of your hip joint. I feel like it enables me to traction my hip a little bit, kind of pull that femur just a little bit, give it some space in the hip socket, and also get a really nice stretch up through the top of the pelvis, kind of into that QL muscle, maybe into your SI joint if you ever have trouble there. So it's very, very healthy stretch to do for your low back. So pushing in here, you have some liberties to take. You can square your shoulders off a little more towards your knee. You're gonna feel a slightly different stretch there than if you stay a little more facing to the front. So play around, push through the knees, see what feels good on your body. Everyone tends to feel this in a little different position throughout that hip, depending on where you're the most tight. So you're gonna take your right hand and add it to your left. Both arms are reaching over. You're trying to flatten your spine. Try not to lift that right hip, so keep it glued down to the floor. Such a nice stretch across that side back body. Really hard place to get to. So once you've relaxed here, I suggest dropping your head, taking a big deep breath, getting all relaxed and in your stretchy head space. Then we'll sweep those arms straight forward, and you're trying your best to flatten your spine to the floor. Now, if you're a little higher, I would suggest you have someone help you out. If you can have a friend or a partner press a little bit on your back and you can trade turns for that, that will help you get so much lower into this position. Otherwise, kind of visualizing your arms reaching forward and your tailbone lengthening back is a good way to kind of traction on your spine. I mean, very, very small amount, but trying to get that length so you can drop your chest a little closer to the floor. From here, we're taking this it's kind of a cool series. So you're gonna take this sort of around, unfold your right leg out, and we're kind of square. I'm not completely square because of this knee that's off a little bit, but relatively squared towards that leg, and you're gonna reach forward. Now I just did that naturally. I tend to stretch the top of my foot because I like to point my feet. You can have a totally neutral foot here, that's absolutely okay, or you can even flex your foot to get a little more stretch through the calf. Whatever feels best for you. We are targeting the hamstring, so that's your main focus. Trying to keep a flat back. You can use your arms here. You can grab onto your ankle, your knee, anywhere that's accessible. Anytime, again, you can drop your chin and feel the weight of your head coming down. That's a really good way to start. Deep breath. We're pulling into those muscles. I do want to leave enough time to work on your middle splits, and we're going to bring that band back in. So if you have a band to work with, get excited if you're taking that progression. So we're just gonna open that leg a little farther. You're in kind of a half middle split, a half straddle. However far your leg goes is fine. If it's still pretty far forward, that's okay. We're gonna take a little side stretch, just a brief one, kind of opening that side body. Sometimes it's nice to press kind of along your body, get that length, make sure your hip is staying down. Take some nice deep breaths there. And open. So we're just gonna manually manipulate your hip joint a little bit, get any crackles out, and get that synovial fluid kind of loosened up in there. That does a lot to help open up the hips. Yes, we're stretching soft tissue, but when your bones start to open up a little bit, deep in your pelvis, you want those joint cavities to be super warm. One more time in a little side stretch. And we're gonna take a little stretch forward. So take your hand against that leg and just take a little lean forward. I don't feel this a lot, but I find this to be a great modification to going into a full straddle, because you can kind of drop down to one hand and manually manipulate that other foot. So if this is a good stretch for you, tuck that into your little toolbox. You can come back to this. Otherwise, we're gonna take this a little further. So I'm gonna face this way a little bit so I don't give you a full crotch shot. So take that same leg that was out like this, just tuck it behind you, and you should be in a little double attitude here. So I'm not too close with my knees. There's definitely space. Come down to your left elbow, and this part is very important. Push your hip forward. Your right hip will press forward, and then keep reaching all the way back. So this is a big spiral. Your glute has to engage and has to fire. Otherwise, I don't really feel anything there. So press forward, spiral through your body, and reach through your hand. Kind of a subtle stretch, but it will help open up that whole front of the body. Hip flexor, little bit of psoas and abs. Take a big breath there, and then you're just gonna pull your foot in a little closer. We're settling into our quad stretch. So lots of positions here that you can take. Elbows obviously is the first one. And this is where we're gonna talk about what you wanna keep engaged and what you wanna keep relaxed. So I'm always squeezing my butt a little bit into this quad stretch, trying to keep my spine a little bit neutral here. It's really easy to kind of like just arch. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel anything. But as soon as you squeeze your butt and then try to flatten your back, it's gonna intensify the stretch a lot more. So then obviously your second progression is to come down to your back. Keep your knee on the floor. Keep that glute tucked. Keep your abs in and your back, your lower back, fighting for a nice flat position. If your quads are pretty open here and you need another progression, your free leg can go on top and kind of hook that top knee to adhere it more. See, my back started to arch a little bit. Whew. It's getting there. And then if you're still wanting more, another option is to grab the knee of your free leg, which to me sends that stretch a little higher into the hip flexor. It feels great. And your final progression would be to take your other leg all the way out, which is very, very intense on this hip flexor. Holy cow. So you have lots of places here. Find a position that you can relax in. I find quads are actually a big hindrance to getting your splits. Maybe your hip flexors are open, but your quads are not. So you have to hit both of those muscle groups. Coming up, we're just gonna take your free leg, so your right leg, cross it all the way over to your little stacked position, and going for even a deeper glute stretch. Last thing on this side, taking your reach forward. This is ideally where you should stay for a long time, but I'm gonna have you stay for like a moderate amount of time. Enough so just drop your chin to your chest. I'm not gonna do anything new here, I'll talk you through it. I want you to feel the weight of your head and focus on the way that your glutes and your hips feel here. If you're feeling a pull, try to reach your arms a little farther, flatten your stomach a little closer to your shins, and try to picture those glute muscles opening, 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 and releasing. All right, so we're just gonna go right away to the other side. Your right leg slides behind your left, and we're all set for the other side. So left hand to left knee, you're pushing down as you're pushing away. I don't think I'm centered here in my mat. Push down, push away. You just have a lot of freedom here. So get some information about your body. Roll forward, roll down to the mat. Pull your hip back, set your hip forward, push into your knee. Really think about creating space like you have a whole team of people pulling your leg. Have you ever had a chiropractor do that? Like really manually manipulating your body? That's the best feeling. It's like anti-gravity hips, just for a second. And I'm feeling a little better kind of open on this side. So I'm gonna stay there, feeling that little muscle right here. Feels really nice, in and along into my back. My quadratus lumborum, which is such a fun muscle to say. And then you're gonna add your left hand to your right hand and try not to lift your left hip. You're just intensifying that stretch. Try to drop your chin to your knee and take a big breath. I'm trying to find a little bit of release here if possible. And staying low to the floor, we'll sweep it all the way to the front. Again, if you have a partner or someone you're stretching with, maybe take turns sort of gently pushing on each other's backs. I'm not kidding, it's like a world of difference. In fact, Dan should be out here stretching with me and I should have him push and vice versa. And you could really see that difference happen. Big breath, let your head drop, and then roll it up. So our first stretch over the leg, extend it out, you're relatively square, and down we go for a hamstring stretch. Whatever you want to do with the foot, it's such second nature. This feels so good though, especially if you're a runner. If you have tight shin muscles, that anterior tibialis, you can push down on your toes and it's a really cool stretch there. But if that's just distracting from your hamstring stretch, just leave it neutral or flexed. For me, flex is a little intense. Whew. It gets that like sharp pull through my calf that definitely changes the quality of the stretch. But wherever you feel comfortable is fine with me. Trying to lengthen, trying to release, and trying to hold and pull actively. So I discovered this when stretching with Dan, who's my husband, the other day. When you're higher, it's harder to get over. It takes a lot more work to pull. That's why it's so helpful if someone adds a little pressure. Once you get to a certain place, gravity really helps. So again, if you can use your own muscles or have the partner situation, that's ideal. Let's open all the way to the side, and we'll take our little side stretch up and over. Finding that little bit of length here through the ribs. Again, just opening up the hips, a little bit of side. We're not focusing primarily on those lats or the external obliques today, but just feels good. And then I'm gonna get that hip joint all loosened up here. It just feels nice. My hips feel so much healthier and less rusty if I do this. It's very subtle, but it's very good for the health of your hip. So one more side stretch just to get a little more movement through that body, and then we take that half little bit of straddle. So you can take your hand down, you can take your hand to your opposite knee, and you're just sort of keeping that knee back, leaning forward, kind of exploring. You can go side, side, wherever you feel a little bit of inner thigh kick in. It's a nice place to go. Kind of a nice modification too if you don't feel like you can get forward as far with both your legs. Okay, so you're gonna take your leg all the way around. I'm gonna scoot and face this way. And we're not too close. So in that little double attitude, elbow down, so your right elbow, your left hip, squeeze your butt really hard, push that hip forward, and then follow it to that big arch to the front. You're almost trying to lean back, look for your opposite toe. So I'm looking for my right toe, you're looking for your left. Reach, arch, active, active stretch, butt is squeezed. Hold, hold, hold. Ah. And then you can grab your foot. Pull it all the way in and come to whatever progression you did on the other side. Although I find that from day to day, my quads are different. I think it's because I don't always reverse what I do in the air. Sometimes I'll do sequences only on the right side before moving on. I'll always do it to the left, which is really bad. So don't do that. You should always be even, but I do find that certain days I'm off. So just take some time, take inventory of your body. Remember, glute is squeezed, lumbar spine is trying to achieve kind of a neutral position down here. And my knee's starting to pop up, so keep your knee down, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then any of those progressions, foot on the knee open. I think I'm gonna take this one today. Ooh, this side's tighter though. It's because it's my right side, and I'm definitely right side dominant, so. Find a position, really visualize your muscle fibers opening and releasing, especially with your exhale. Push your knee into the floor, engage your glute. Holds. Okay, last stretch before we hit those middle splits. Your left leg stacks over the top to get those glutes one more time, and down we go. Ooh, I'm a little more stretchy on this side, that's good. Big breath. Again, that partner can come in here if you have worked out a sort of a trade with somebody. That would be a good situation. Now we're gonna go in some different stages here for our center split. So one is just a little V. And I can go wider, so this feels very different for me. If this isn't very far from your normal split, then maybe bring your feet in a little more. You need to have enough space for your chest to fit between your legs. So down we go. It's gonna feel different. It's gonna feel a little bit like a hamstring stretch, but bringing in kind of that inner portion of the hamstring, which feels really nice. So come down. Again, if you can grab any part of your legs and use your biceps to pull you in. Flat back if possible. So rather than rounding, even if all you're doing is trying to sit up straight, that is what you want to practice. Trying to get that upper back, or sorry, that lower back lengthened, and then reach forward from there. That's sort of your key. Sorry, my shirt. This is totally like a bro shirt. You know, like the guys that go to traditional gyms and they wear stringers. Nothing against stringers. I mean, if I was a guy, maybe I would be into stringers, but it's like, why even wear a shirt? And I totally have a shirt like that. But anyway, I like it. It's very soft. So you're pulling yourself down, you drop your chin, but just don't try to round that back too much. Hold, hold, hold. So our goal in a center split is to obviously hit the inner thighs, and we'll get there specifically, but also the different heads of the hamstrings can be helpful in the middle split. So you're gonna open a little wider. To me, this is a 90-degree split. So if I look at one side, my other leg is 90 degrees from it. That's the easiest way to go. And then down you go again, trying to flatten your back and get low. Maybe this is a great spot for you and this is intense and this is sort of the extent of your straddle, totally fine. If you can go wider, then you'll just notice this is kind of a cool feeling. I'm trying to really flatten and put my belly button, I don't know that I can do that actually, onto the floor and get super flat. So my feet, my legs are not completely open here. I'm not in a full middle split, but I'm feeling a lot of the same muscle groups. I'm pushing my legs open a little bit, and I'm just hanging out here. Feels awesome on my hips, my inner thighs. Oh. And then come up. So if this is as wide as you're going back down there. If not, open a little farther, a little wider, and down we go again. Let's go in stages for this one. So open at your widest, wherever you are, hands down. And you're gonna try to work a little bit of almost cat-cow through your spine. So you're gonna arch your back just a little bit, anterior pelvic tilt, and then round just a little bit. That arch right here, hello inner thighs, and come center. And then if you can drop a little lower, go ahead and drop lower. If you're not dropping lower, that's okay, don't do that. A little bit of arch, and then a little bit around. The round is just to kind of relieve your inner thighs for a second, because when you arch, it's a lot of inner thigh. It's like, oh, inner thigh. And then if you want to go further, I just don't know if you can see the arch or not, so I'm going to come sideways. So if you can, come a little farther down. You can do the same thing here. It's very subtle, that little bit of arch, and a little bit of round. Even that I feel though here. And a little bit of arch. And a little bit of round. Ooh. So here's the part, this is just a really cool next level variation with the band. I told you I was gonna do this in my other video. If you're kind of not quite that wide and you're still working on your straddle, I'm gonna tell you to go to a wall and go ahead and do that supine straddle that we were working against the wall. So legs up and then legs open, and you can just relax there. So you should know sort of where to go from here. Go ahead and get set up for that. You can watch the other variations just to kind of keep it on hand in case you get there. And those of you that want something a little extra, I might need assistance for this. So you're gonna get a heavier band than before. So I'm gonna tuck that behind my body. I'm gonna try to get into this. Perfect. Okay, so I've been hooked in and it seems a little sketchy, but this feels so good and I don't have to do anything right now. Not a darn thing. So my focus in this position is lifting up out of my spine and keeping, well, I don't even have to keep my external rotation because the band is doing that around the back. Make sure it's kind of over the squishier part of your lower back. That always feels nice. And you just get to hang out here. You can lean forward again because that band really keeps your legs out. I hope I'm back far enough. I hope my foot isn't getting caught. Should I try to move? There we go. There we go. So this is a great position to stay in, just like against the wall. You can just hang out here. You can just put this on at your gym and you'll probably get some attention. I'm just saying, people will be like, wow, I've not seen that before. So this is your lightest party trick if you can get this wide into your straddle. So I'm gonna leave you to hang out in this position. And I want to take a moment to encourage you to tag us on Instagram, because I was talking to some people over the weekend, Michael Ann, Steven, lots of people who are doing this, which is so freaking cool, but I want to see your progress. I've already seen some really good progress, so tag us while you stretch. It's just fun that way, then we can see that you're stretching. So I know that I've made some progress just doing these videos and doing Kevin's stuff, and I really liked the foam rolling one from the other day. That was probably my favorite so far. So your feedback helps us a ton. Again, if you like or subscribe to this channel, that helps us a ton. Let us know what we can do to help you achieve your stretchy goals. So more modifications, more progressions, anything like that. So hope you enjoyed this middle split series, and we'll see you tomorrow for more. Bye.